Which Side Podcast is a proud member of the Which Side Media Collective.
This episode is brought to you by
Ken.
Ken, you didn't give us a last name.
Yeah, you forgot to put your last name. So thank you, Ken.
But seriously, thank you, Ken. If you guys want to bring an episode, it's really cheap.
Yeah, 10 buckaroos.
Because this shit, it's honestly brought to you by listeners. That's really how we make all of our money.
We don't make any money.
We haven't made a dime.
We've lost so much money.
But seriously, Ken, thank you. People like you make this possible. This is episode 77.
Yeah, we talked with Gretchen Primack.
She's a poet and has a new collection of poems called Kind.
Yeah, just check out her poems.
She actually reads a poem in the middle of the show. Like, make sure you stick around for at least that part. It's amazingly gripping. Like, the mental imagery that it conjures up. It's fantastic.
Word.
What events do we have going on this week?
You got Wash Your Windows Wednesday.
So make sure you wash your windows on Wednesday.
And you can check out other events at whichsidepodcast.com.
Just click on the events tab.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't see your city listing or you know an event in your area, let us know. We'll add it to the calendar. And we'll even talk about it for you.
Word.
For free.
Possibly.
If it's vegan.
Most likely.
And we're anarchist. As long as it's not PETA. We'll talk about it. So drop us a line. Let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. And seriously, if there's nothing going on around you, fucking start something.
I heard Food Not Bombs is looking for new members.
Everywhere. April 29th, 1970. The U.S. invades and bombs Cambodia. These, every week, are pulled out of your slingshot personal organizer. If you like them, go to your local info shop. Pick one up.
If your local info shop doesn't have one, you can find one on AK Press and a number of other sites.
Or you can start your own info shop and sell them yourself.
There you go.
Spread the word, comrades.
Aye, aye, amigos.
I always feel weird with the term comrades.
Yeah.
It's too Russian for me.
What would you prefer, Jeremy?
I don't prefer anything.
I'd say brothers and sisters in arms. No, I don't even like that. I
don't like that either.
I like acquaintances. Maybe people that are okay.
Militia?
No, I'd say, you're okay, I guess. So
Hey,
every time you say comrades, just replace it with like people that are okay. I guess.
People that are okay,
I guess.
I think comrades just gets taken by people outside of the movement in a wrong.
I don't really care what people outside the movement think, though, to be honest. Unless those are the people you're trying to change.
Good point. But hey guys, enjoy this one.
Fizzle.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
Hey there.
How's it going?
Very well, thanks. How are you guys?
Doing really good. Just so you can tell our voices apart, I'm Jordan.
I'm Jeremy.
I don't know if you
Okay.
can. It's hard for some people, but
Remains to be seen. I couldn't hear Jeremy that well, though, I will say.
Sorry.
can you hear him now?
Is this fine now?
It's a little better. Maybe
Okay.
you're just the quieter of the bunch.
Here's a volume control.
Sure, let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
So how are you today?
Oh, I'm really well. The weather's gorgeous. There's a cat on my lap. took the dogs into the woods. Yeah,
The usual.
the usual.
So
That's right.
you live right next to some woods?
Indeed, which
Ah.
is so wonderful. We live near Catskill State Park. It's basically our backyard.
That's
Hundreds and hundreds of acres in the Hudson Valley in New York.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. And almost all the time, that's a wonderful thing. But the thing about the Catskill State Park is that you're allowed to shoot in it.
Really?
You can shoot your guns. So, during deer season, it's not a great environment. And then there's some target shooting that goes on. Sometimes on a nice day. So, in fact, today we got to hear some shooting.
That surprises me that they can shoot so close to residential.
Yeah, you can shoot as long as it's more than 500 feet from someone's house. If you're in the state park, that's a gun lobby for you.
And
That's
I thought
crazy.
we were pretty liberal with our laws, but I think it's 1,500 feet here.
And that's from any
Uh-huh.
roadway.
That's from any roadway. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah, we have a pretty aggressive hunting lobby here.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, it's just a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I bet I would love to live by some woods. Right now, my day was blocked off by the Salt Lake City Marathon.
Uh huh.
Running, we were actually woken up by shouts of Gatorade in the blue cup, water in the white cup, every 3 seconds.
They should mix it up and just have some bizarre fluids. Somebody should get in there and kind of hack into the system and be various things.
So what brought you to vegetarianism?
Well, that was a long ago. That was a very long ago thing. There goes my other half is going to take the dogs back into the woods and collect some firewood. Well, I was 13, and I was taking a class because I was nerdy like that, writing class, and we read a short story. I think it was called State Fair or something, and in the story, there was a scene in which a lamb has its throat cut, and the blood kind of soaks into the wool. And I remember saying, just around our little workshop circle, boy, that's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a 13-year-old girl, so for a lot of us, that would be disturbing. And this boy across the way said, "Well, are you a vegetarian?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Well," and of course he was completely right. So that sunk in, and that very same night, I was faced with spaghetti with meat sauce, my favorite food. And I thought about not eating it, and then I ate it. And I took a little time, and about a month later, I was eating chicken, and I put my fork down. I said, "I'm never eating meat again." And my parents said, "Yeah, right, Gretchen." And then that was it. I'm 43, so 30 years later. But I ate dairy and eggs to beat the band. So I did not learn about them until I was in my mid-30s. So that was a whole other, so I've been vegan for probably 7-8 years.
So tell us your vegan story as well.
When I moved to the Hudson Valley, I started getting acquainted with farm animal sanctuaries and vegans. And so it was a very unromantic story compared to, I think, the vegetarian story, which there's something good about that story. But this one was just people telling it like it is and saying, well, but if you're an ethical vegetarian, then you can't be. This is the deal. This is what goes on. This is what a cow goes through, so you can eat cheese, and this is what a chicken goes through, so you can eat omelets. And that was a very important education. So it took me a little while, but man, it felt good to, for me, the in-between time, knowing what I should be doing and starting to do it, and, but still I'd be at someone's house and I'd still eat the cheese on the pot, that whole phase was the worst. Like the good part came when I just said, ugh, I'm done with this. I'm not sitting on that fence anymore. And then it just became a pleasure.
So my question is like, going through your 20s, what did you think of the crazy vegans? Were you just like, oh, you're too extreme, or?
Yeah, I was. I went to Oberlin College, and I lived and ate my first year in a hippie co-op. It was vegetarian with a vegan alt at every meal. No white flour, no white sugar, except that we stole those things from other co-ops that were less stringent and ate them anyway. But
I would too.
I didn't get it. I didn't understand. It was, and I meet people every day who are like, what is the deal? What's wrong with cheese? Nobody's killed to make cheese. Nobody, and I was one of those people. So I guess I assumed, I literally was not acquainted with the ethical issues. So I think I just assumed it was a health thing. And I'm not in this for the health stuff. I mean, I'm glad that I feel really good, but that's not what I'm after. So for those people, I just, that sounds crazy, and I remember then I became a union organizer after college. And I remember that, we organized with nursing home workers. And I remember just at the union hall getting pizzas with them, and they would have their, meat lovers delight. And I would have my mushroom and onion or whatever. And they would look at it and just say, how could you eat? There's nothing there. That's like not even food. That's not a meal, and I would say, but there's cheese. So it is a meal,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that, their way of thinking, in a way I came to understand when I went vegan, because I had that same way of thinking with animal products. It just wasn't their bodies. It was their emissions, like this isn't, and granted, I do want something on my pizza, but I obviously I want it to be made out of cashews or soybeans or something. But, but that notion that it's like, it's not food unless there's, some sort of animal product there, I kind of suffered from that also.
So what did your family think about you changing your diet?
When I was 13, I think they thought that I wouldn't go through with it because I wasn't very good on the willpower thing, and they knew me well, right? But I think they respected it entirely, and pretty, fairly progressive family in a lot of ways. And I am pleased to tell you that they're vegan now.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, they went vegan in their late 60s, and they are now 70 years old and totally happy vegans. So that's pretty amazing.
That's great.
So there's still hope for my parents.
There is. If you had said to me 10 years ago, your parents are going to go vegan, I would, do something dramatic like spit out my coffee or something. So.
What?
Exactly.
It's funny, like parents is one of those things that most people that are vegan or most people that are rights activists, it's like their families are the ones that's the hardest to change. So like most parents that I know of aren't vegan.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't until recently that my mother actually went vegetarian. And so she's been vegetarian for maybe 2 years, 3 years now?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And I never would have thought that. And it was just the right documentary after all the dozen ones that I've shown her.
What was the right one for her?
Oddly enough, it was Vegucated.
Oh, made by my dear friend Larissa Miller Wolfson. Yeah, she's one of my best friends. She's a great person. I'm so glad, and I will tell her that if you guys haven't already.
I don't think
I'm not sure we have. Yeah. She was really affected by the duck scene, like or the chickens. She had a duck growing up, and so that was what did it.
That's interesting. For my parents, they would say, "Oh, it's half Gretchen and it's Half Forks Over Knives. That was the one that did it for them because my dad was a doctor for a good 20 years, kind of got out of that field as soon as he could and started doing public health stuff and teaching and such. But you know, health was very important to him. And I think I guess because I wasn't super well versed on the health stuff, that not being my priority. And also maybe for some people, you know, one thing is hearing it from your daughter who, you know, came home reeking of pot at 4 a.m. And another thing is hearing it from, you know, bespectacled elder statesmen physicians that it's the right thing. So, you know, it's kind of like you said, the right documentary. You know, they keep coming out, and God bless them. I say that in the most atheist way, you know, because damn it, you know, like you never know what's going to get somebody. And in a way, that's why I wrote the book Kind, which is a book of vegan poems, because you never know what's going to get somebody. So for some people, it's not going to be documentaries at all. And for them, it might be the written word, but for them, it's not the nonfiction books. It's something that, you know, takes them to this other place and where they're open in a different way. And I think with creative writing, there is that possibility, you know, that somebody's just has their heart open in a different way than they would for, say, nonfiction or facts and statistics or film or who knows, you know. So it's just one more option in the world to, you know, raise consciousness.
So was it what was the decision to actually start writing about the animal issues?
Well, I've been writing for years, you know, and I have masters in poetry writing and all that. And I was at a writer's colony. There are these artist colonies or writers' residencies around that are really great. And you just go off and you're in a small community of fellow artists, and you have 2 weeks or a month or however long to just write or just paint or whatever your genre is. And I went to this little one in Vermont. And, you know, you kind of assume when you do something like that you're going to feel simpatico with the people you're with. And in many ways you are. These are fellow artists who desire to spend 4 weeks in the middle of nowhere in Vermont with their art. So right there, you're going to have something in common with them. And, you know, they're probably lefty and they're around your age and they're thoughtful and they're smart and such. And they were all those things. But there was this huge divide on animal issues. They were incredibly indifferent or hostile to, mostly indifferent, to the idea of thinking about other animals as anything. And this guy killed a mouse who was in his room, quote unquote, his room, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy is living there for exactly 1 month. Right? The mouse makes his or her home there. That's where the mouse lives. And this guy comes in, and because he's a human and the mouse is a mouse, then he's going to kill the mouse because, you know, there's some scratching going on at night and it's irritating. Right? And just that divide. And I remember I walked into the room when he was talking about this with someone else, and they both were like, "Oh, be quiet," because they knew that I would be upset. Which I was, and I wrote a poem about it, and it's in this book. And then I ended up writing more. And, you know, that isolation, just being away from anybody who shared my value system on these issues, was really good for the writing. I mean, I was miserable. I had practically had a nervous breakdown, but, you know, just like kind of week after week of watching them eat their pepperoni and be so clueless and call themselves thoughtful artists. You know, I just felt like that discrepancy. It's like, if you're a Wall Street go for broke and you get your steak, you know, you're being consistent. I'm not saying that I admire either of those things, but for these people to kind of go around thinking that they're these, you know, wonderful, sensitive, compassionate, artistic types, and then be, you know, ripping into their ham sandwich or whatever. It was very hard to deal with. Usually you deal with it because you go home and, you know, you tell your darling or you call your best friend or whatever, and they know what you're talking about. But just being kind of stuck out in the wilderness with them for a month was a drag. So I ended up writing quite a bit. And that's where I figured, you know what, I'm going to do just a whole book of this. And yeah, it ended up being very fun and fulfilling in those ways, even though I had to get very sad to to start the project.
How do you cope with that?
Just that the general notion that you're such a minority in the world on these issues. Is that what you mean? Cope with that?
I'm more like just the feelings that come up when you are writing.
You know, it's all good when I'm writing because at that moment it's in the service of something, and that is, you know, you might say the same if you're discussing really hard things with a guest. It may be more okay with you than just hearing something horrible on the radio as you're driving, because you are crafting something in the service of raising consciousness and getting people to think. And for me, I felt that part of me that is so horrified and so sad is quieter when I'm doing something about it. And the poems are doing something about it. It's crafting something that's in the service of raising consciousness. I mean, it's also a piece of art. I mean, I can't help that. I'm not going to write these with no attention to what I would give to any poem, you know. But I actually feel better when I was writing. Oh, I don't know if you could hear that, but there was a gunshot. A gunshot.
Sounds like thunder, but yeah.
Yeah, there it was. You know, I feel better when I'm doing something. So I could be writing these poems when I give readings, which I love to do, and I'm going to do for, you know, various veg fests, but also I do just in completely non-veg settings because I want to spread the word, not just, you know, and then I feel good about it. Even when I'm reading a poem that's about, you know, a dairy cow having her child dragged away from her, or a pig, you know, being slaughtered, or the people who have to do this every day because we're not, you know, because we just want to go up and say, I'll have a egg McMuffin or whatever. We don't want to be the one slitting throat after throat after throat. So, and as somebody who is a union organizer, that really matters to me. So I have a poem about that. And, you know, even when I'm reading this really tough material, because the point is to do something, I can do it. It's okay.
So how did you get involved in union organizing?
Well, I heard about a project called the AFL-CIO Organizing Institute, and they train you to be a union organizer. So I went through the training. It was great. And then I did that for a few years and I really enjoyed it. But when I moved to New York, I did it mostly in Milwaukee, which is a great city, by the way.
Was there a lot of union support in Milwaukee?
Yeah. Milwaukee had socialist mayors for something like 60 years, maybe more. So there's a lot of attention to union issues, to public space, things like that. So I lived there for a few years. That was great. And then really felt like I wanted to be back in my native East Coast kind of turf, and moved to New York. And I really couldn't find a good organizing job. So I left the movement.
So what do you feel about, like, a lot of people have their own opinions regarding, like, say the Wobblies, the IWW, and the AFL-CIO, how they're kind of structured in a way that they're all encompassing, but, you know.
Are you talking about the difference between, like, a general union and trade unions?
Yeah. And how a lot of people are against the IWW when they're more for, like, the FL-CIO kind of stuff. You know what I'm?
They're more against the IWW than the AFL-CIO.
Yeah, when you come to talking, like, union organizing under, like, one general group.
Right. Rather than, you know, I mean, I can see and I've always been able to see kind of the benefits and detractions of both. And, you know, as with something like, say, socialism or Emma Goldman's conception of anarchism or something. We've never seen it in action in a way that I have found, fulfilling. I mean, there's, and I think that has to do, but see, I'm kind of the wrong person to ask this, because at this point in my life, I'm so cynical that I really don't trust people, I mean, Emma Goldman had this amazing trust in what people could be capable of. And I don't think we are, so the theory is beautiful, but I don't think we're trustable, just inherently. And so it's the same kind of with these organizations of human beings, because they are organizations of human beings. They encounter the problems that happen when we organize human beings. And that's, greed and corruption and infighting and outfighting and tribalism and the, kind of individualism versus community and, theory and practice and all of that stuff. And it just ends up messing things up. I mean, I still think we have to keep trying to fight for what's right. And sometimes fighting for what's right ends up creating organizations that are trying to fight for what's right. Mm-hmm. And then, and so you can't say, well, this organization is probably going to get corrupted, so we shouldn't start it. Or, if we try to have a general union, then that's not going to work, so I guess we shouldn't try it. Or, oh, well, if we try to just, organize pipe fitters, then probably that's going to lead to tribalism with other unions and that kind of thing. So I guess we shouldn't try it. I mean, I get why we keep trying to do things, but then I always despair it's like the closer I get to an organization, the more I see how problematic it is. Whatever that organization is, an institution of higher learning or a not-for-profit or a union or a government agency, it's like any of them. So, so that's probably a shitty answer, but there you go.
Do you believe that's like innate with humanity, or that's more like innate with our capitalist system that we find ourselves organized in?
Yeah, I think it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
But that is such an awful, awful thing that there's no hope if we do this. So I'm not saying that there's necessarily hope if we don't, but I know there's no hope if we do. So I would always fight, against this system. In other words, I know this system is wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if people who had a completely clean slate also made something terrible.
Okay.
I mean, I am that cynical.
I thought I was fucking cynical, but
no, I could see it too. I'm right there.
I mean, but I really do have a general trust in people. But otherwise, I lose so much hope. Otherwise, like it's just so self-defeating. Like if I don't maintain that, I can't get myself.
I want to trust.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, so I force myself to, because
it sounds like how some people feel about God. It's like people are like, I don't want to live in a world without God. It would just be so depressing. I have to believe in that.
That's almost exactly what Mother Teresa said, because she didn't believe in God. And that's something she always struggled with. But
she believed in not letting women have birth control or abortions.
I know, it's fucking so irritating to me.
Good lady.
No,
I know.
I am not on the pro side of this lady.
Mm-mm.
I'm not saying that at all. But
yeah. No, it's interesting. Right. No, I see what you're saying. I used to have faith in people. And I look back very fondly on those days. My union days, I certainly did. It enabled me to do that work. I couldn't do that work now. I couldn't do that work now because I have such a low opinion. This is terrible. I'm like telling this to these, perfect strangers in there. Yeah, but I usually save this for people who know me well. But I just have such a low, I just end up feeling like, God, I don't know that I want to spend all my time advocating for you. You're an asshole.
You know,
know?
I have a friend who's a union
um,
president that says the same thing all the time. It's like, I have to defend these people, and they're so fucking stupid.
Wait, who says that?
My friend, he's a union president of a local union.
Okay.
And he hates it. He's like, I have to go defend this because someone needs to defend them, but they're fucking stupid. Like,
And the way I kind of have gotten around it in recent years. So I worked for 6 years. I worked at a college in prison program. So I was administrator and a professor, and my students were maximum security, in men's prison, and they're, I could say I'm not. My entire job is helping to create critical thinking and, really kind of change the way that people operate as citizens in the world. And that, it's like, even if you're a total asshole, that's a great thing. I really want that for you. I really want you to have a fantastic education. And they were the best students I've ever had. And I miss them very much. And I really loved working with them so much. And I left a couple of years ago, and now I'm doing something similar. I'm working to coordinate a literacy program in a jail, so not a prison, but the county jail. And for the first year with the women, so that's kind of new for me. I've worked for years with men, and now working with incarcerated women, and that's an interesting thing. I mean, it's different. And it's a different level of education, because the idea is like, yes, critical thinking, yes, creative writing and such, but not on a college level. I'm going to have to tone myself down because I'm a very tough teacher, and these people are not trying to get a college degree. They're just trying to get their legs under them and such. But I really, like, no matter how cynical I am and no matter how I feel about human beings, I definitely think that we should be taught to think and think and think. And so if I can do something in that realm, I'm totally happy to do it.
do you have anyone you've worked with that's been incarcerated that's really just touched you and kind of changed your outlook?
Well, there have been a lot of people who have touched me. And there's somebody I'm thinking about in particular who left prison. He served his sentence, and we've become very close. Out now that he's on the outside in the street, as it is said. I mean, the guy is, getting his PhD in sociology from NYU. So awesome. He's not in the street in the way that, a lot of people end up in the street. But in terms of changing my outlook, no. I don't think so. I mean, I've learned a lot as a teacher and as a person from them, but I wouldn't say that there's, one particular person who has changed the way that I view, learning a lot about incarceration and the issues and the unbelievable unfairness and the unbelievable racism and all of that. But again, like, that's kind of stuff that just made sense to me from the go. Like, yes, of course this is the way it is. And of course it's so hideous that if I didn't control myself very carefully every time I walked into that prison, I would have screamed and, been ushered out. But it wasn't something that changed me as much as almost just emphasize what was already there.
Okay. Yeah.
What was the choice for further education, the inmates' personal decisions, or was it kind of forced upon them, like by the institution?
Completely voluntary, and they had to work very hard to get in, and some of them tried 5 times to get in, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
So that's got to make it really nice to work with, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I was always hoping that they'd have better options when I was in prison. They did not.
This is a program prison,
Mm-hmm.
and the program which meant that they were supposed to be okay with this kind of thing in the prison. There were plenty of prisons like the one that you must have been in where programs, please,
They could help people get a GED, but that's about it.
Right. So if you were beyond the GED stage or uninterested in GED or below the GED stage, you're screwed.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
And for,
I
and for federal inmates, I mean, they're in there for a long time. I was fortunate to not have a long stay, but I mean, it's surprising me that there's not more options for further education in prison for people.
well, it's grotesque,
Mhm.
because everybody knows that just stops recidivism in its tracks,
Mhm.
and that it's cheap,
Mhm.
very, very cheap, and much cheaper than somebody going back to prison. So
Reality
you would
is that-
save a ton of money.
Mhm.
But, hey, if I'm not getting a free education out here and I didn't kill somebody, why is that guy getting an education in there when he did? Why is he being rewarded? And the thing is, I get it. But the point is that everyone should have it. It's not that they shouldn't. It's that everyone should.
Exactly.
You also throw in the problem that you have with the private prison system where they rely on those prisoners as their profit motive. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. So there's no incentive from them, quite the contrary, that there isn't recidivism.
Yeah.
They want the recidivism.
They want that. Yeah, exactly.
so fucked up.
No, it really is. But I'll tell you, working in the prison, I will say one thing. It contributed to, my feelings about non-human animals, because what you see is that everyone is just the power, right? Just the power dynamics where it's like, I have power over you, and the idea of subhuman, right? So I'm a corrections officer, you're an inmate, I'm more powerful than you, I can oppress you. I'm a human, you're a cow, I'm more powerful than you, I can oppress you. I'm white, I'm upper class, I'm on top, I'm the boss, you're the worker. I mean, you could just say this over and over for all, I'm native born in America, right? In the last 100 years, asshole. But you're not, I'm more powerful, I can oppress. I mean, and who do we think, who works in slaughterhouses? The most powerless people in society, of course, because they're the worst jobs in the country. I mean, if people care about workers' rights, they shouldn't touch an animal product. They shouldn't touch them, but here we are saying that they're mutually exclusive. How come you care about animals and not humans? And, well, you know what? Why don't you walk into a chicken processing plant and tell me that you care about humans because you're eating Kentucky Fried,
I feel like we bring up Food Empowerment Project a lot on our podcast, but
I love them.
yeah, they're a great organization that's working with both for the rights of animals as well as the rights of workers. So they want to stop food deserts. They also want to want ethical.
They want ethical sourcing,
ethical
for the
sourcing,
workers. Yeah,
Yes.
and good quality conditions for workers. They're like a top-notch organization.
it's like exactly how I feel about all of them. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all.
Yeah. Food is power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I like to
Yeah,
give them
it's
props when we
fantastic.
can because I love what they do.
Definitely.
Hey, let me know if you want me to read any poems, because I could read you some animal poems if you want to get all
That's
poetic.
an awesome idea. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you wanted to, and but
I'd love
yeah.
that.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, because there's a bunch. So, tell me, I'm just flipping through. The book has these amazing drawings by my friend and fellow vegan and brilliant visual artist, Susan Siegel. And I asked her if I could use a painting of hers that I adored for the cover. And she said, yeah. And let me see the manuscript. And she read it and she said, I'll do some art for this.
Oh, awesome.
So really, really beautiful stuff. But let's see. I mean, there's the mouse poem, right? There's the pig poem, the workers poem, dairy cow poems. There's actually PETA has one of my poems in Animal Times. The new one about told from the perspective of a circus elephant.
Oh, that sounds great.
And yeah, so any of the above, prick your interest?
Well, since we were talking about workers, how about a workers poem?
Okay. So it's called The Workers. An undocumented immigrant, an illiterate mother, a hungry 13-year-old, and a sadist walk into a slaughterhouse. It's the first rung of the American ladder, says the first. Walmart's done hiring, says the mother. School's not working, says the third, and neither is Dad. Finally, a place, says the sadist, where I won't be punished. The first sees the pig's leg dislocate as she's hung. Physics. He feels it in his own leg. He feels her blood down his neck. The second feels the chick tremble as she sears off his beak with a hot blade. She feels it in her face. The third did not know a cow could make that sound, the death sound he now knows he will make one day. The sadist slams a chicken against a wall. And again. He sits his weight on a calf, too sick to stand, shoves his finger up into a turkey again and again. The first has his arm caught in a machine. The second has a finger cut off along a beak. The third can't leave his room. The fourth slams a chicken against the wall, grinds his heel into a turkey, shoves his fist up into a calf again and again. It's uplifting, right?
I mean, the the mental imagery that it portrays is just amazing.
It's tough stuff.
Like
you guys can take it.
Yeah.
I'm such a wuss. I haven't even watched Earthlings.
Oh, no, I can't watch Earthlings. But the thing about being vegan and living a certain way is they're like, I don't have to watch Earthlings.
It's
exactly.
It's like one of the joys of being vegan.
Yeah.
No, but like what I love about it, like I said, you know, the mental images that it portrays, you know, it conveys exactly, you know, what the imagery can see, but it gives you that emotional context inside yourself also.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you not depressed all the time?
Well, because you know this stuff. Right? I mean,
yeah.
But you know what? I am depressed all the time. Wait a minute.
It's definitely like I tend to forget about it, which is very helpful. But I feel like writing it all down just brings it back up, which I guess is reinforcing in a way. Like it reminds you why you're doing it. But
well, you know, it compresses it into. Oh, hello, Ramona. Hi, Ramona. Ramona.
Is that the kitty or the dog?
This is one of the dogs. She's fabulous.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a big black pit mix.
I love
She's
Pit.
Gorgeous. Yeah, and she has a sister named Eleanor who's a little black pit mix.
Cute.
Yeah, they're fabulous. Yeah, there's something that it's almost like if you can write something if you can create a poem out of something, you've compressed it into this thing that's almost manageable somehow. This is not true. It just feels that way. Like, okay, I have engaged with that. I have put it on the page. There it is. And there's just something very satisfying about it. But there's various things that help me not be. Sometimes I'm just depressed all the time. But if the more people that I know who understand how I feel, that's very helpful to me. Writing about it and reading, giving readings, very helpful. Watching change happen is very helpful. Just the number of people who have said, you're really making me think about this stuff. What do you eat instead of butter? Or, I heard I was at an activist poetry conference in DC, which is where I'm from, a month or so ago, and I created a panel and had these other activist vegan poets on it that was about food justice and social justice. And sorry, that's a little Facebook thing going. My husband's computer.
It's great because it'll make everyone who's listening think they have Facebook messages.
That is great. yeah, so it was just this panel, and we talked about the connection between social justice and animal issues, and read our poetry and stuff. And more than one person has contacted me and said, "I think I'm done. I think I did." And that really helps. And I think everybody kind of figures out, well, what are the things that make me able to keep going in a world that does this kind of unconscionable ugliness. And also, if I stay busy, God, if I have time on my hands, my brain goes to those places so easily. So it's good for me to be busy.
Well, you mentioned about change. I forgot to ask you, like, what's the biggest change that you've seen since you went vegetarian and vegan?
In myself, you mean?
Both in yourself and as far as other things go, like food products and other things as well.
Oh my God! Holy shit! I mean, I remember when I was 17 and I went off to Oberlin College. The soy cheese back then? Oh,
so
it's like,
gross.
Boy, sometimes I'm secretly really glad that my consciousness was not raised until there were some fabulous products on the market. I know people have been vegan for 30 years, and boy, am I impressed, because that was tough. It's so easy now.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, the ice cream back then and the ice cream now, or just everything. It's just, I mean, if anybody says, "Oh, I just can't," you just got to go, come on, That's just not. It's just not true. You don't want it. It's just call it like it is.
Yeah. No offense to mayonnaise, but
no,
mayonnaise.
Right?
Complete offense. I'm sorry.
Soya versus Vegenaise. Come on.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
You don't understand how delicious Vegenaise is and how easy it is now for people.
Yeah. It's like you reach into this dairy case instead of this dairy case, and this one is cruelty free and this one isn't. That's the difference. Like, that's how difficult it is, reaching into this case instead of that case, and just grabbing that Vegenaise. And I mean, come on, that stuff is better than mayonnaise anyway.
Oh yeah. I know a bunch of omnivores who'd agree.
I do too. Yeah, so, but what's really funny is, like, my daughter, she doesn't understand, like, what it's like elsewhere. Like, even like a normal grocery store here, you can get, all of your alternatives, all of your cheeses, all of your vegan meats, your Vegenaise, just at our local grocery store. Not even like a fancy, like, health food store. So we'll go someplace else, and she's like, "Well, why don't we just go buy Vegenaise?" We're like, "Because you can't buy it in this backwards town." Like,
I know, we're so spoiled. My brother is raising his. He's practically vegan. His wife is She was not into that, and then I gave her a reading in Pittsburgh where they live, and she's like, "Okay, I get it." And I think she's pretty much on that wagon too. Their kids are vegetarian, and they went to some diner or something, and there were these placemats, and there were hamburgers on the placemat. Just a drawing of a hamburger. And my niece goes, "Wait, I don't want a bean burger today." She sees that and she thinks it's a bean burger. Mm-hmm. When she sees the image of a hamburger, she thinks it's a bean burger. Like, that's how far from the world of hamburgers she is. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
It is. That is way awesome.
Of course, the problem is that she's in a very, very, very small minority. And that's the sad news. The good news is that's a great story. And then,
but it's a very fast-growing small minority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty much like our generation is now producing children, and so all those children are growing up vegan.
Well, my daughter in her school, we know of at least 3 other vegan kids, which that's amazing, considering, like, when I was in junior high, I was the only vegan kid.
Mm-hmm.
And do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 32.
Okay. Wow. I mean, the fact that you were vegan then is pretty amazing. I don't think I had I had definitely not heard the word vegan when I was in junior high or high school.
It's really funny. I never heard the term vegan until, like, I went vegetarian, and my parents at the time promised me that made me promise that I wouldn't go vegan, and that was my first introduction to the word.
They made a mistake.
Yeah.
You never tell your kid. What you do is you say, please go I insist that you go vegan. And then you won't.
I was so backwards when I was a kid because I had no direction to go to, just the sources I had, and I'm like, there's awesome groups like PETA and the ALF. Like, I didn't know the difference. No difference to me. They're all just animal rights groups, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like I was saying, like, the closer you get to things, the more you see the difference. The further you are, the more you see the nuance, you know. The further you are from a community, there's probably all these like anti-abortion groups, and they all seem the same to us, you know. And then if you get close to them, they are so different, and they hate each other, and all this stuff, because that's how we roll.
That's really funny. Like, I would have never thought about it like that.
Yeah, but that makes total sense. Definitely.
Yeah.
So from an outside perspective, it does make sense when people call people PETA or whatever else.
But they're fucking wrong.
Absolutely.
They are wrong.
Speaking of PETA, no, I'm just kidding. So, like, what do you get any like resistance from your writing?
Not that's spoken. There's some defensiveness sometimes in an audience, maybe. But I think it's defensiveness born on knowing that this is true. And, my style is to be really nice about it and very kind of, I don't rant and act bitter and all that stuff. And so there's not a whole lot I don't want to give people something to complain about. I want them to have to just admit that this is the case, So I know how I am, that if I don't want to acknowledge someone's truth, then I try to find something to attack, right? Like maybe they're an asshole or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if I try to not be any of those things and I give them nowhere to attack, then I think they, their discomfort can't come from that. Their discomfort comes from the fact that I think people know. I think people know that this is really not okay and that there really isn't an excuse for it. And they'll look for an excuse anyway, just like I did when I first heard the truth about veganism and I didn't want to do it. And I just came up with every excuse in the world. And then I had to face it, And so I understand, people's resistance. We're a species that doesn't like change. And as we get older, even less so. And, we're very stuck in our ways. We're very rigid. And I'm sure that makes a lot of evolutionary biological sense because it's so deep in us to not want to change. But, it obviously works against us in a case like this where, the world's going to hell because we won't change. So that's Eleanor. Oh, Eleanor. She's about 12.
She just wants to be on the podcast too.
Yeah. She's got things to do. She's on a vegan diet.
Awesome.
But she doesn't want to be.
So what do you do for a vegan diet for?
We do V-Dog. And our cats are not vegan. Mm-hmm. But our dogs are. Okay, sweetie. That's good. You said your piece. It's just cute. Yeah, V-Dog or sometimes Natural Balance, but mostly V-Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
So what advice would you give to very young, idealistic writers?
They've got to put this they've got to put this out there. It's not out there. I don't care what genre you are, what genre you like. Find a way to get this in there. But first, I would say people need to be a writer first. They need to put a premium on good writing because shitty writing, it won't get across, and there's something to have a problem with if it's shitty writing, So approach it, and I think the best writing comes from people who place a premium on something working as a piece of writing or working as a film or working as a painting, but then also saying something, so it can't just be that it's about animals. It has to be, paintings that treat the subject of animal justice, or, films that treat the subject of animal justice, or poems that, but for instance, we need YA novels about that have vegan characters. We need novels that have vegan characters. I mean, John Yunker, who you talked to, who's just such a fabulous person, and Midge Raymond, what they're doing with Ashland Creek Press, they're saying this should be out there. There should be characters there should be characters on your average TV show, 1 hour detective drama that is pouring silk creamer into their coffee. And there should be YA novels where the characters are vegan. And there should be poems about what a cow goes through so that people can eat yogurt. And there, every genre, it just needs to be out there more. And there's ways in which it sort of is already out there, but this, in all the ways I mentioned, it's not out there. So we need 12-year-olds to be picking up books at their local indie bookstore. I work at a local indie bookstore, and in fact, I have to go soon because my shift starts at 4. But they should be picking it up and just have somebody in a T-shirt that says "I don't eat my friends" or "Joyful Vegan" or something on it, and have that out in the world. So writers should be very out about this. It's great to be a vegan writer, but it's great to put the vegan in the writing too.
Yeah, we just talked about young adult novels with what was it, Charlotte Malridge?
Oh, I didn't hear that one yet.
There's just such a lack of them right now.
Yes.
So we're trying to say, everyone, if you want to get into a market,
we're saying, yeah, we were put on your capitalist hat too, because there's a market.
There you go.
Do it. Do it.
Well, this has been awesome. How can people get in contact with you and see your work?
Well, it is all on my website, which is super easy. It's just myname.com. So it's Gretchen Primack, Primack, but they'll see that on the podcast. GretchenPrimack.com. And there's links. So the book about animals is called Kind. And there's some sample poems, and there's a way to buy it. And, if people get it, they're certainly supporting the writing and spreading the message and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be, very delighted. It's also for sale, if anybody's in New York City, at Moo Shoes, the fabulous vegan shoe store.
I was going to say, that's the shoe store, right?
Yeah.
Vegan shoe store, Moo Shoes. And in Portland, it's at Herbivore.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I will not put it on Amazon, because now I know your wish list is there and everything, but I will not put my book there.
We hate Amazon.
Have you listened to our affiliate?
Yeah.
We're like, don't do it. But if you do.
Yeah, totally. So I won't put it there, and I won't sell it, whatever. I mean, So I know that I'm losing sales, but I just can't, So I really encourage people to just, go to my website, and if they get the book and they like the book, spread the word, because I'm not on things like Amazon. The only way people know about this book is through wonderful people like you, and through word of mouth, and through my readings and things like that. So, and I got to say, it's about to go into its 3rd printing, and that's because, people can be really awesome sometimes. So, counter to what I was saying earlier about us all being just blighted species, there are some incredibly decent folks out there, and that keeps me going.
Well, I got to say, it's people like you that keep me going, and keep me having this renewed hope. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And anytime you guys feel like chatting, you just let me know, because you're a total pleasure to chat with.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Awesome.
we end every episode saying "fuck, shit, damn." So would you mind saying it for us this week?
Oh, sure. Your guest says it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck, shit, damn.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care, you guys.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.
Today you heard.
Kodomo Concept 10.
Right now you're listening to.
K-Theory. Air.
And as always,
El Comandantes.
which side are you on?
Please, right now, whatever you're doing, if you're on your computer or if you're on your phone, go to iTunes, rate us, and review us.
I know you're all anarchists and you hate iTunes just as much as everyone else.
We do too. But
Yeah.
it's how we get this shit out there.
Mm-hmm.
So help other people discover this and maybe make more vegan anarchists or help support vegan anarchists by clicking 2 goddamn buttons.
It's not hard.
Really not.
And if you want to write a review as well, you can just say, fuck iTunes.
Totally. You could.
Yay, which side? Or you could say, fuck which side. I don't, be honest.
Yeah.
Honest critique.
I should go write one that says fuck which side. 5 stars. Fuck which stars.
Fuck which side.
Was this helpful? Yes.
I bet that would be like a top rated comment. It'd be sweet. Yeah.
Follow us on social media. The Twitters, the Bookies, the Insties. What are the other ones?
The Tumblies.
The Tumblies.
Mm-hmm.
Got all those. Go do
The
all
Googlies.
that. The Googlies.
Whatever social medias that you want to follow us, Elise, on.
You know, usually we would tell you right now if you're going to buy anything on Amazon, do it through our link. But you know what? If you're going to buy something on Amazon right now, just don't. Don't fucking do it. Instead, go to our website and just give us half that money you would have given to Amazon and been like, hey, I just gave it to good people instead of fucking assholes.
There you go.
How's that? That way you don't have to support Amazon at all. What are you going to buy on there anyways? Oh, I need a new t-shirt. Like, what the fuck are you going to buy? Seriously.
Cock ring.
They sell them. Oh, I need a new HDMI cable.
I do.
I actually do too. That's why I said it.
I need an extension cable. Need a new Google Plus account. Fuck. I'm so tired. Yeah. This is fun.
Let's let him off the hook.
Yeah. Alright.
Fuck.
Shit damn. Thanks to Mario Booker and our interns, Camden and Cody.
Now we should do the fuck shit damn. I gotta get used to saying them before the fuck shit damn now.
Oh, fuck them. Shit them and damn them.
Fuck them, shit on them, and damn them.
But
That didn't sound too good.
That sounds very nice.
No, it really doesn't.
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, they totally are.
Fuck shit damn.
Fuck shit damn. It just sounded like I needed the last word, so you say the last thing. I don't want to be the last one. Fucking asshole.
Which Side is produced by the Which Side Media Collective.